Let's talk a little bit now about what's coming up, what you can expect to see in the upcoming tests. Let's take a closer look at things. We prepared some helpful material for you to follow along as we discuss some of the key features you'll be seeing in the next test. So we want to start by talking about the biggest ones. First, let's talk about regions, multiple regions that will be available. So what exactly is the purpose of these multiple regions? What do we aim to achieve with them? How exactly will they function? Did you see if there's going to be any change with what they're seeing there?
Look, Sarah, we start by asking ourselves, how big should a region be? What size does a region need to be? Because we're making an MMO, we want the world to be really massive, to have many things, for exploration to be a constant, not something you just finish. When we make this comparison, we have to make some important decisions now. One of them was not to increase the size of each region, but rather to increase the number of regions. This doesn't mean that in the future we can't expand the region's size as well, making the world even larger. But for now, we chose to increase the number, because this already ensures we'll achieve the scalability that Profane's world truly needs, The world is entirely dynamic. We want it to be dynamic. We want the way all types of content that exists within the world to emerge through established rules and not by us manually going and specifically placing it in some designated location. For this to happen, we need a vast world. We need a multitude of possibilities. We need diverse types of geographies, geographical formations, across the globe. And so, right now we are really looking to introduce multiple regions. By doing this, we can solve some of the problems that we have already encountered. One of the main reasons why we prioritized multiple regions was because we saw during the tests that it was becoming increasingly chaotic. There's just too much stuff in one small region. All the players are there. All types of resources are there. All types of encounters are there. It started to get a bit cramped, didn't it? We said, we feel it's time to really expand our world. And we were also quite eager to tackle this technical challenge of making the entire world function in this particular way. So one of the most significant things that these multiple regions will be bringing to us is the strong feeling that now there will be ample space for all the things that exist within our world, for new encounters, for intriguing mysteries, and for you to truly be able to venture out. So, along with the upcoming introduction of boats, which we'll be discussing very soon, and which will also contribute to this vision, this is the vision we had for how players in Profane will explore the world, uncover its secrets, and truly discover all the unique differences. We're making sure that no two regions will feel exactly the same as each other. It won't just be a change in the geographical formation, but also in the types of encounters you'll have in each one. So, we're really looking forward to seeing that. But also, we're not underestimating the geographical differences because we were quite bold in making them very distinct in those aspects. You won't be seeing new biomes yet. It will all still be in this more Caribbean environment with this archipelago feel. But the regions will be very different from each other in terms of geography. So we think this can greatly alter the way players choose where to build the altar, the villages, and so on. How the domination of that region works based on its format and where monsters spawn in that region and everything else. I'm very excited about this part.
And this is one of the things we're also really excited about, to be able to put this in your hands and see what you'll think too, right? Sometimes your interaction with the region brings a dynamic that we hadn't even considered, right? So there are regions being designed to try and change a bit the dynamic of what happens when you arrive, of who tries to dominate that area, but for now, it's missing the life that you all bring to it. Let's move on to boats now, because naturally there's no use having all these regions to explore if you don't have a vessel to travel from one to another. So this is one of the things we're incredibly excited about. We've been wanting to implement it in the game for a very long time, and that's boats, so you can actually place your own boat into the world. We'll discuss how our plans for boats will work, including different types of boats and how this is currently functioning, plus what we want it to do more in the future, right?
I want to give a little preview of what we're aiming for further down the line, what comes after this delivery we're making. But first, let's talk about the importance of boats in the Profane experience. There's no way we can scale this world in the format we wanted without implementing a boat system. I don't know, for me, it's one of the things that gives the greatest sense of freedom, being able to craft your boat, put it in the water and say, let's go to new lands, In a game like Profane, where you're leaving your home behind, or you're taking your home with you, you always have a different feeling depending on the type of journey you're undertaking. If I'm going to explore to one day return changed with everything I learned in other places and everything I found, or I'm moving to a new place, or I'm really going with friends to explore or seeking battles. So, that part there will be quite interesting. Speaking of battle, we don't have cannons or anything like that for the boats right now. That might change in the future, but at the moment we're being very cautious with anything involving gunpowder, those kinds of things, as Pixel recently told people who were asking in our Discord. But battles can still happen, in the sense of one ship docking with another, and players jumping onto each other's ships and starting to kill each other inside. And the incentive behind this, if we even need one, because players are already crazy and do what they want, But the trade routes are what we want to see if they'll start happening with the world shape we'll be delivering. Maybe yes, maybe no. In a more dynamic and sandbox-style game, just like Profane, we can never really guarantee anything. You never know if the way we've laid everything out will actually lead to some kind of situation or not. We just have to observe. But we are very interested in having actual trade routes existing within the world. Resources that are more abundant in one region and scarce in another, with players wanting to bring them from one place to another. This, in addition to generating trade routes, can also generate conflict routes among the players. To give you a little preview of the experience, today you'll be able to navigate with your boat, and inside the boat you'll have the inventory just like it was in the pre-alpha, where you can store a lot of items within it. There's the anchoring system, just like it was in the pre-alpha as well, and you can navigate along with friends. You can add other people, other friends of yours, as owners of the boat if you want them to be able to drive. And we believe that this will give a really cool feeling of exploring the world together, right, with a friend. But in the future, many people have already suggested or asked about boats becoming more like your home, instead of just having a chest to store items as they are now. You could, for example, place a workstation. We're experimenting with this, okay? It won't be available in this update. For this update, we're proceeding with a bit more caution, but we're already internally exploring boats where you can place items on them and that have doors you can enter into a small room inside the boat to store your placed items. This is something that wasn't in the game, and we want to explore it. I hope it works out. The first tests we did were good, but there were some bugs, so we didn't want to risk it. We ended up postponing it for the future. But this is already a little hint of something that we are aiming for. And also different boats, unlike how it was in the pre-alpha, where everything was difficult to scale, we are doing everything in a very proper way now. Creating more boats won't be difficult for us, In fact, we even did some internal tests with boats of different sizes, with different properties. The ease of making turns, and the speed and all of that. All of these aspects will vary significantly from one boat to another. We are currently exploring many new boat-related features. To make navigating with boats truly interesting, as you just saw on screen a moment ago, there will be things you can discover both floating on the water's surface and also hidden beneath the water. There are now certain resources that can only be found underwater. Some types of encounters and mobs, and even some secrets that are hidden only underwater. So we believe this will also bring life to this entire part of the map that is the sea, which, in the pre-alpha days, was kind of a PvP field practically, because there was nothing else to do but kill each other there in the middle of the sea, right? Now there will be a few more possibilities. There are even some that we'll talk about a little later here on the stream.
Building on that then, these extra things that are coming to complete the world, we also want to bring for the next test new weapons, new skills that we'll discuss now, to expand the range of options you have for weapons that you can acquire. Some weapons are coming in for those who noticed in the video, and the one before, right? Some weapons with special effects. I don't know how you'll get this weapon or not. Shall we talk a little about the weapons then? What are we adding? What's the purpose?
The little you'll get, we won't discuss, but we can talk a bit about it. Look, we've been doing some creative processes at Nextsoft recently to increase the amount of content we can put into the game with each update. It's been a success, it's been really great. The amount of content we're able to release compared to the past is getting larger and larger. Because we know that to create an MMO, you can't go slow with it. We need to fill a very large world. So, there are many new encounters coming in. I don't want to give too many details on how you interact with these encounters to get some new weapons, but I will leave this spoiler that it does exist. There are some encounters that are giving out new weapons that you will be able to find. First, there's a new sword that's been added, and we also have some brand new craftable weapons, okay? Because, the overall amount of variety we had was a bit outdated. We were still lacking certain specific types of weapons. Most importantly, I really wanted to introduce this clear difference between one-handed and two-handed, and then make sure to create all the necessary variations for each of them. So, Great Axe and One Axe, this type of addition that we never had in the pre-alpha either. And regarding these weapons, I believe we really put some thought and care into considering what resources you'll need to craft them. So, for example, I'll give a little spoiler here, the Great Axe, it actually requires crackle to make it, and that's something we hadn't explored before. You're going to see some weapons there that use the game's rare metals for their crafting, and you'll notice in the artwork of these weapons that they contain some of these metals. So there's also a different great sword, and it's quite interesting. The others are very secret. There's a small spoiler in the video for you to check out, but there's a dagger, at least one dagger, and one sword there, and man, I don't want to give too many details. They are just really cool. They have mechanisms that use stacking logic. I'll just say this, nothing deeper, but it's something we hadn't explored with weapons before, right? A system where each basic attack you land adds a stack to the target, and things like that. So, we're exploring this now with these new weapons too. I hope you like them, that you want to try them out, because their effects are really cool.
And always give us feedback on what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like, what worked, what was missing. To keep up with the new weapons, with builds and such that people want to make, there are skills, new skills that are also coming in. What's coming in, and what's the purpose of it?
One thing I'd like to mention, just to remind everyone out there who's been following Profane, is that one type of content that's always being added to Profane permanently are skills. We believe that this is what keeps the meta from ever, solidifying. You're always adding new things. Players are always able to experiment with new combos. We also want, on our part, to make the commitment that every update we release must include some new skills. You might often feel, if you participated in the tests, that some skills are more polished and others are a bit rougher, looking more like prototypes. This is intentional. It's about the current stage we're in. We feel that the sooner we put something to the test, the sooner we know if it's promising or not, if it works with other skills, if it makes cool combos or not. So, we've been experimenting quite a bit with creating and conducting tests to keep complementing and bringing forth ever more possibilities for players to create their very own classes. For you to invent your own unique way of playing, to craft a combo that truly resonates with the way you personally enjoy playing and that yields a really satisfying outcome. There's this whole science behind experimenting with different combinations. We take inspiration from games like trade card games. Trade card games are always evolving, always bringing new cards and new features. That's what we want to do with Profane skills. So now, we're bringing a new set of skills. We hope that you enjoy it. I believe they bring differences to combat that didn't exist before. When we think about skills, we consider bringing abilities that are simply fun to use, that give a satisfying feeling when you unleash them. But we also analyze how PvP is unfolding, how PvE is playing out, and what new elements we can introduce, inviting players to explore other possibilities, and change your style of gameplay. There are some coming in, and I don't think it's really worth trying to talk specifically about each one. We actually prefer, since our process heavily relies on getting your feedback, that you participate, use these skills, test them out, and give us any feedback you have about them. But we do believe that they can have an impact by varying the combat a bit, and in this way, we can discover how to refine this experience for the future.
Perfect, Di. And I also want to point out that the animations you're seeing here, all of this, none of them are final, super polished yet. So we get an idea for skills, we implement them. Our main concern right now isn't the visual. Of course, we want a visual that works, that keeps up a bit, but you'll see that some skills, like something will be a bit off there, okay? So right, don't pay too much attention to that, okay? The focus itself it's the skills we want to test, what they do, their impact in combat or in the meta that emerges as you play. And let's talk about the control point.
So, how does it work? This control point will only be in one region of the world, okay? It won't be in every single region. So whoever wants to control this point will have to go to the region where it is, and there, this control point won't always be in the same place. It will be in a different spot each time. But when you go there and dominate it, which is simply by going up to it, interacting with the obelisk that's outside, you dominate it. And then it's just you and only those you permit will be able to open the door to this control point, go inside, farm the resources available there, and interact with the challenges within. Maybe there will be some small bugs there. We also need your help testing this. This is the first version of the control point, and we still want to evolve it quite a bit. But we believe it adds to the game an aspect that I consider critical, which is, who is dominating that area where whoever dominates can farm resources better, Because this will help the guild achieve its objectives better than the other guild that couldn't dominate the control point. So this is one of the cool things that this type of mechanic introduces. Another thing that I really like is that sometimes the guilds within Profane can become quite large. The political map of Profane, with its altars and dominations, can be very significant, but it might be that at some point a solo player discovers this control point in some corner and only he saw it was there. He goes there and interacts and he takes it for himself. So, he's going to have control. It's a method to grant a single player, if they are successful, command over something that possesses the power to completely alter the result of a conflict between two guilds, It's often in the hands of just one person. Who will he give this access to? Or will he just keep it for himself? Or will he use it as a bargaining chip, tell a guild, look, I'll give you access if you give me something in return? There are so many possibilities this mechanism brings, and I get really excited about it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how you all interact, and also to receive your feedback, to see if what we chose to spawn inside there is actually proving to be significant for your objectives, making you feel its impact or not, and that it's truly making you stronger. And I forgot to mention this part: whoever captures it, holds it for a period, and once that time passes, which is a few hours, the control point becomes vulnerable to be captured again. I imagine if many people are interested in capturing this control point, there'll be a little skirmish right there, which is something we'd really like to see. Profane has very asynchronous aspects, such as house-based territorial control, where you go and attack someone's base, and they weren't there. Then they come and attack yours when you're not around. To add more real-time conflict, we also want to introduce into the game events where, at a specific time, many people gather to fight for dominance. And once that's over, those who dominated can enjoy the benefits, right? That's something we want to observe. I hope you all enjoy the way it turned out, but the most important thing at this moment is your feedback.
So next we'll also have some new encounters, the encounters you'll have in the world. Some of these include the druid, the lumberjack, the skeletons you also saw in the video. There's the red manatee, a new mob you'll see. It's not quite an encounter. Well, it is an encounter, I guess, right? But it's a new mob you'll see we're happy with. It's a different model, a different animation. Of course, we're still polishing a few things. Let's quickly go through the dynamics now. Druid lumberjack, without spoiling too much.
They are two different entities, the lumberjack and the druid, and they don't like each other much. You will see that you will have the opportunity to make a decision when you encounter either the druid or the lumberjack. The druids, they live in the trees, and the lumberjack, right, cuts down the trees. So I think you can understand that there isn't much affinity. You'll be able to make a decision about that. There's something that could be of great interest to the player behind this. That's all I'm going to say. And I'll stop here. I'll try to explain more and give too much information.
We'll also have the skulls you saw on the boat, and it'll be another encounter for those venturing through the seas. How will that encounter be?
This encounter is one of the things we really want players to come across as they're sailing around. For the moment, it's the only thing that appears in the world that you can reach by boat, and that spawns dynamically within the sea, and has a challenge and a secret. Back in the pre-alpha days, there was a Shadow Lady. I just wanted to give her an honourable mention because I was very fond of her. I still want to re-implement her into the game. But while we don't have her yet, you'll have this encounter, and I'll just say it's quite challenging. And also I believe players might be quite interested in what's behind it all. But we're so eager to watch you all discover this, that I don't think we need to give too many details here,
We're also going to have the red manatee, which is a mob we had previously shown to you, right, on our social media channels quite some time ago. Like its initial concept art, which is that sea cow, it really resembles a manatee, I believe, right? You will also encounter it, right, with its attacks, okay? We'd love to show you interacting with it to see, right, how strong it is or isn't like. So what exactly is the red manatee in the world then?
We want the manatee to act as a little guardian of the sea, so that eventually players will start to think twice about whether they should travel by swimming or by boat from one area to another. It should be something that makes their navigation experience feel more justified, Are you dodging dangers? Or are you trying to face the manatee because you like the drops that they have? Or are they just circling something that truly interests you, So they are aggressive, and they can be quite challenging there. The manatee, it might seem a bit slow, but I think you'll be surprised when you try to mess with it. It may seem peaceful from afar, but its behavior changes a lot when it's annoyed with someone.
So lots of love, everyone. Bye. Thank you, everyone watching. Bye.
Let's go, Profane!